Today we're going to fix the door lock on an '01 Ford Escape. Sometimes the electronic servo goes bad, and when you click lock or unlock, or no matter what you do, the door won't open or it won't lock. Sometimes you get lucky and it freezes in the unlock position, and you can still open the door, but it never locks. It's always unlocked. The little electronic servo solenoid in there goes bad. We'll have some tips here in a little bit on how to find that servo economically, an aftermarket one. And sometimes this servo goes bad and you're in the locked position, and so then you can never open the door. So we're going to show you how to get in there and unlock that door so you can open it and fix it. So let's get inside the car and get that open. Here we are inside the car. First we're going to take this cover off so we have room to lift the door panel up and out a little bit so we can reach down inside and manually flip that lever. And we'll try to get the camera in there to show you. First we got to take the windshield wiper motor cover off. It's a black cover there with two pieces. They snap together. Sometimes you need a little screwdriver to stick in the crack to get it started, or if you have something a little more rounded that you can slide in the crack and get it started, then you can get your fingers in there and you can just pop it apart by pulling it back. It's just plastic clips, so you don't want to pull too hard on it, but you got to give it a little bit of a yank. And there it goes. Now we have a little bit of room to lift this up over. That hump area actually curves around the back side of the latch, so you have to kind of pull it up and forward towards the front of the car to slide that plastic piece off. There's 6 clips in this area that we have to snap out. In this car they're already pretty loose. This car is a little bit easier than others because it's got so many miles on it, but you got to give it a little bit of yank to pop those clips out. So first we're going to pull this up over the latch, get our fingers underneath it there, and work that plastic up over the latch and give it a little bit of a yank. Now this came out a little bit easier, like I said, because those clips are already popped out. This car's got 150,000 miles on it, so it might be a little harder on your car. You got to give it a little bit of a yank. Okay, so now we're going to take the camera and zoom down in between that panel and the door, and we'll be able to see that lever I'm talking about. That gray box with the black arm sticking out of it is the electric solenoid that's failed for us. So that's the solenoid. Here's the lever you got to push. That's unlocked up. That's locked. That's unlocked. Okay, so we're back outside the car here. We can open it now. It's unlocked. So just be careful if you're in the garage not to hit the overhead, obviously. And if you need to, you can leave it like this and still drive the car around. Just remember that your hatch doesn't lock, so don't leave any valuables in the car. So here are the 4 screws that you need to take out to get that panel the rest of the way off so we can get at that solenoid. Slide it up a little bit and it'll come off and fall out into your hands. Here's those clips that sometimes the metal retainer slides off the plastic and it falls down in the door. So you may have to fish in the door and get those and slide them back on the plastic tabs. Looking up in the door, here's the magic box that's gone bad. The solenoid, 2 screws hold it in. They come in from the back side though, so we have to drop this bronze colored bracket to get those screws out. There's 2 10mm nuts on this side here and 2 10mm nuts here on this side. Adjust the camera. And then a single Phillips screw right in here. And of course we have to take the electrical connector off here and a couple of those connecting rods. So a Phillips to get that single screw out, and then we'll use a flat blade to unplug the electrical connector. For the two connectors with yellow fittings on them, we'll use a flat bladed screwdriver to pop that fitting open and pull the rod out. And then for the green one, we'll use a needle nose pliers, stick it in behind, and there's fingers on the fitting. You can squeeze them together and then pull the fitting down towards the floor and it'll pop right out. Now we're going to just get those 4 10mm nuts off. Once you can swing that whole assembly down, you can see the 2 torque screws that actually hold the solenoid into the bracket. So we'll back those 2 out, and then all we have to do is take the connecting arm off. Now we're ready to unhook the actuator arm. So we'll swing this around so we can see the front side. And that black arm has an elongated pin that goes into an elongated hole. So if you drop the solenoid off a little bit, turn it 90 degrees, and jiggle it a little bit, the pin should come out of the hole there. And sometimes you got to jiggle it just a little bit, and it'll pop out. And there's that elongated pin you can see. Okay, so here's the OEM stock one. And the only way you can get this now is to order the whole assembly from Ford, which is $250. I didn't care for that too much. Doing a little bit of internet searching, I found an almost identical one that fits in pretty well. It's got good reviews, and it's about $50 after you pay for shipping. There are a couple of things different about it. For one, it has these wire pigtails on it instead of the plug like on the factory one. But what we'll do is we'll flatten these connectors and plug them in to the female plugs that normally plugs in here on the OEM one. The other difference is the plungers, but that's a pretty easy fix because they actually snap off. It's slotted, and you can just snap this plunger off and they're identical underneath. There's the slot on the OEM one. Wiggle it a little bit as you pull on it and it'll pop right off. And now you can put that plunger on the new one. And do the same thing with the one on the new one. Pop it off. It's got that same fitting on it. So now you can take the OEM plunger and fit it onto your new solenoid. It just pops on, and we're good to go. Here's the info on where I ordered that solenoid from. I'll put it in the comments section too. So now we're ready to fit the new one. It's the reverse order of how we took the old one out. You're going to start off by getting that elongated hole, swing it around, get your 2 torque screws set in. Screw those down. Now we're ready to fit the bracket up in there and get those 10mm nuts placed back on. Sorry about the camera angle here. Kind of hard to see what you're doing. We'll get the 10mm nuts, all 4 of them, tighten back up. Next, we'll get the connecting rods put back in, snap them into the fitting, snap the fitting closed, and the green one, just pop the pin back in. Several ways to work the electrical connections. If you look at the factory plug, you can see it takes little spades. So you can flatten the connectors that came on the new solenoid, trim them a little bit, and you're actually making little spades out of them. Once you flatten them, they become too fat, so you got to take a shears or a side cutter and cut them a little bit thinner so they'll fit in there. Alternatively, you could use wire nuts or butt connectors and just cut the wires and butt connect them. Once I flattened these and trimmed them a little bit, they were really snug, so I'm not worried about them falling out. So here you can see the actuator working. I'm going to get the key fob and click it. There you can see it lock and unlock. And that's what's supposed to be going on inside the door when you either hit the door lock switch or you use the key fob. There's lock and unlock. Before we put the panel back on, we're going to check it and make sure it functions correctly. You may run into this issue, that you hit the lock button and the door still opens. And then you hit unlock and the door actually locks and won't open. All that means is the polarity is switched. So all we got to do is unplug the wires, switch them, and plug them back in. One more check here. Now that we've switched the wires, lock, hit unlock, and the door opens. All right, we got it right. Now all we got to do is put the panels back on and put our tools away. Now we're ready to put the panel back in. We're going to fit that edge up over the lock, line up these pins, pop them in, lift it up, and put those 4 screws in the bottom. It's a lot easier with the window open, so open the window before you put this in. Now we're ready to put the windshield wiper motor cover back on. So we're just going to shut the door, open the window, and snap that guy back on. Done. Check it. Everything works. Sweet. I'm excited to finally have this done. So thanks for watching. If you have comments, questions, or a better idea, please leave it in the comments to help out the next guy that watches this video and just keep spreading the knowledge. Thanks for watching.